Throw another shrimp on the Barbie, eh, mate? Well, mate, actually, Aussies wouldn't know a shrimp if it bit them on the arse. We don't say shrimp down under, mate. It's a prawn. Got that, mate? A prawn. And you don't really see them on the Barbie that often either, to be honest. So what else don't you know about Aussie Barbies? Well, the first thing to realise, mate, is that the Aussie Barbie is a very important institution culturally. You see, mate, the Barbie perfectly matches both the Australian culture, which is laid back and informal, and the Australian climate, which is sunny and hot. To support this, mate, almost every Aussie has a Barbie in the backyard, and getting your mates around for a Barbie is the main event on many Aussies' social calendars. This is such a deeply important cultural activity that even our public parks and other open spaces are chockers with Barbies, just waiting to be used by the Aussie public. Free, of course. So how does one find oneself at a Barbie down under? Well, mate, although Barbies can be held all year round, they're most popular in summer. Aussie summers are hot and lazy, and two of the most popular activities are watching cricket and having a Barbie, and often both at the same time. Generally, mate, you'll just be sitting there, watching the cricket, perhaps over a quiet beer or two, when a mate will call out of the blue and say, "Come on over, I'm having a Barbie." Oh, mate, what a beaut way to spend a lazy Aussie Sunday. Watching a bit of the cricket, enjoying an icy cold coldie between overs, and keeping cool by just wearing me dacks.
Good stuff. Hey mate, what you up to this Harvey?
Oh, I don't know, mate. Probably just having a few coldies watching the Poms get put to the sword.
Crikey mate, drinking with the flies, eh? Anyway, I was thinking about having a Barbie this Harvey. What do you reckon?
And so there you go, mate. Following this, you might grab some Barbie tucker, get into the right gear, less is generally more in the Aussie heat, and then you're off to the Barbie. Now, mate, although some of the older cooking cultures might be overly concerned about cleanliness and wouldn't cook their tucker on a grotty, dirty grill stuck in the middle of a park in a pink fit, that's exactly what we do when we have a Barbie. And of course, mate, rather than clean them with any cleaning material, we just scrape all the crud off with a Barbie scraper, generally while giving the Barbie a good blast. Beer plays a role in this part, mate, as it did in watching the cricket, and it can also be used as a degreaser. Just pour some on, mate. So, mate, the Barbie's ready. But what tucker do you need to ensure a dinkum Barbie? Well, the only real prerequisite to a Barbie is beer. What? That isn't tucker? Well, mate, you're right, it isn't. But eating's cheating, as they say. In Australia, it's impossible culturally to have a Barbie without beer. Without beer, a Barbie isn't a Barbie. It's a disgrace, mate. Of course, mate, if you do want to have a few coldies at the Barbie, make sure everyone's got a bit of grog, and you'll have to pop into the old bottle-o on the way through. Just stop in at the drive-through, mate.
Ah, there's Jules. G'day, Jules.
Oh, g'day, Bruce. Fancy seeing you here, mate.
Well, actually, Dale, we're off to a Barbie this Harvey. Want to come along? Plenty of spunks for a good-looking Sheila such as yourself.
Stop pissing in my pocket, Brucey, but thinking about it, I sure could do with a few coldies in this Aussie heat. I knock off in about 15 minutes, so I'll be with you in 2 flicks of a lamb's tail. Now don't drink all this grog at once, or you'll end up as full as googs.
Ah, g'day mate, good to see you. Oh, did you bring some grog with you? I could strangle a barmaid and suck her fingers till they bled, I'm so dry.
Oh, yeah, mate, no worries. Picked up a carton from the old bottle-o. Help yourself to a wombat.
Cheers, mate. You're a top bloke, that's for sure. Oh, that hit the spot.
That's a fair dinkum shocker, that is. Looks like I'm going to have to make my own fun then. You still got that carton, Brucey?
Oh, you betcha, my little sprig of wattle.
I'll sprig you in a minute. Now give us a wombat. Ah, I bloody needed that.
So what else is required? Well, mate, in terms of actual food, the minimum you'll generally want at a barbie is snags. That's sausages to those who like big words, and some dead horse, or tomato sauce to the proper, and ketchup to the Americans. Snags are beaut, mate. You can never have too many snags. You'll eat 'em from the moment you arrive, having a few beers with your mates, to the moment you pack up, 6 hours later, also having a few beers with your mates. And they keep the kids away from the steak. Of course, mate, with snags and steak go onions. Just like that cold day in the pool, as you cook them, they'll shrink like you wouldn't believe. So you'll need plenty, mate. And generally, they go on first. But apart from beer, snags, onions and steaks, the other food you're likely to see at a barbie is salads. They're optional, mate, but do spice things up a bit. Generally, it's the women that make the salads, mate. If it's up to the men to make the salads, then often they won't be made. Of course, mate, this doesn't always sit well with the modern working woman.
Oh, don't ask. And anyway, Jules, I've got to take care of the manly business of cooking this barbie to Sarvi. So could you be a darling and get the salads ready for us?
Ah, come off it, Bruce. I've just knocked off. Can't Jono do it?
No, I've got to help Bruce. Besides, I've got a crook knee from lying in this chair all day.
Oh, that'll be right. Bludging bastard. Anyway, Jules, should be a few nanas, mushies, capsicum, you name it. It's all in the esky. Chuck 'em all in the salad bowl together, and you'll be right. No worries about that.
Well, that's bloody sexist, you might say. Typical of chauvinistic Aussie males. Well, mate, ordinarily I'd agree with you. But as you heard me say to Jules, the strange thing about Australian society, which normally does condemn the fairer sex to the kitchen, is that men always cook the barbie. That's right, mate. You wouldn't catch most blokes in the kitchen if they were as hungry as a half-starved rat. But you can't keep them away from the barbie when there's snacks to be cooked. In fact, mate, that's part of the great Barbie divide. Traditionally at barbies, the men and women split up into two groups. The women stand in a corner, make the salads, and talk about children. The men, by contrast, all huddle around the barbie and engage in the rituals of mateship. They'll talk about the footy. They'll talk about cricket. They'll talk about sexual conquests, real or imagined. But most of all, mate, they'll talk about cooking the barbie. Now, to an outsider, it might look like nothing more complex than whacking raw meat onto the grill and waiting for it to go black. But to an Aussie male, cooking the barbie tucker is a complex procedure refined over many generations of backyard drinking sessions. One bloke will be doing the actual cooking. You can tell who this bloke is because he'll be holding the tongs. And mate, just like when three council workers will stand around telling a fourth what he's doing wrong when digging a hole by the side of the road, those that don't hold the tongs will be offering advice on the cooking. Well, they'll be doing that and pouring beer on the food. Having done its job dissolving the grease, beer is now seen as adding flavour to any item of food that's made its way into the barbie plate. But back to the advice. If someone is too critical, the cooker will eventually get the shits, as we say, look the criticiser in the eye, and slowly and publicly offer them the tongs. This is a serious gesture, mate, similar to the slapping of a glove across the face in days of old. Here the cooker is saying, "You think you can do a better job, do you, mate? Well, do so, and be judged by us all." Young players are advised not to accept the challenge unless they are comfortable cooking for the whole group and being responsible for the state of the barbie tucker when it's served. If they aren't, then they should respectfully decline the tongs and shut their gob. Anyway, mate, apart from that, while Aussies like their barbie tucker well done, the main thing is to not burn everything to a crisp. The only other social custom to remember, mate, is that while barbies can be shouted, and quite often are, Over time, you have to ensure that your contribution to the Barbie culture matches that of others in the group.
Mate, I was so hungry I could have eaten the crotch out of a low-flying duck.
Mate, look, I'm sure you bloody well could have. And you want to know why? Because you're a bloody disgrace, mate. That's right. You're lying there by the Barbie in that bloody pool device, drinking my grog, eating my tucker, like bloody Lady Muck, mate. That's what you're like. Bloody Lady Muck. Wouldn't shout if a shark bit you. Bludge off me till you're red in the face. And I'm just bloody sick of it, right? Bloody sick of it. So, mate, next time we have a Barbie, any Harvey, it's your shout. Okay, mate? It's your shout. The bludging stops here.
And finally, mate, if you're lucky, there'll be a few good sorts at the Barbie. And you might want to leave your little group of men or women and wander over to chat to them. But, mate, as you'd know, even down under, things don't always go to plan.
Tell you what, Jono, there is one way you could make up for it. Just leave me and Jules alone for a bit, mate. She's been on it all bloody arvo, and between you and me, I think after a few more amber nectars, I'll be in like bloody Flynn. Now, fair dinkum, mate, I think I'm onto a bloody winner here.
I heard that, Bruce. And mate, sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you've got a body like a burst sausage and a head like a half-sucked mango. Mate, you don't have Buckleys.
So, mate, now you know all about Aussie Barbies. If you're invited to one, the best way to win the Aussies over is to bring a carton of grog with you. You'll be their best mate if you do that, even if you do end up burning the snags.